This is why you never trust anyone who eats breakfast for dinner. You never trust them fully. They will turn on you. Hey, Science Bob, thank you so much for kicking off the super chat tonight. I really do appreciate that, Science Bob. Much love to you, my friend.
Shout out. Yep.
And it is always a pleasure to have Science Bob here with us. And, of course, the Super Chat is a great way to support this show, a great way to support it as well. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and join the family here on a nightly basis. Hello, Sinister Vax. How are you? Good to see you. Grandmaster, always a pleasure. Aussie Steve, thanks for coming on in. And I think we're caught up right now. So we got like 20 seconds. What do we do? What do we do? What are we going to talk about? I have no idea. Let's just wing it. What the hell?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, let's do that. Let me just put this up here. So that way we can pin that tweet right there. And let's rock and roll here in like 3 seconds. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. And, of course, the lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco is back as she drops in for her monthly segment and getting together with all of us for The Spiritual You. Based out of San Francisco, California, Geraldine runs Bay Area Meditation, where she works with people looking to solve their inner self. Geraldine is also an ET contactee and has been part of the alien hybridization program. And if you want to learn more, you can check out our website at GeraldineOrozco.com. Geraldine, it is always a pleasure to have you with us here on Spaced Out Radio. How's your month been?
Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And hello, everybody. So great to see you guys in the chat. Much love to everyone.
It's good to have you here. And what have you been doing the last month?
A lot of work, lots of exciting things coming up, but it's been interesting. High energies, lots of exciting changes, and getting ready for next phase. I feel like we're turning a page at this point right now, energetically in the universe, and now we're starting something completely new. So
it's because of the aliens. It's because of the aliens.
It is because of the aliens, of course. Always because of the aliens.
Had any good contact lately?
Yes, I have. Very interesting contact, actually. About a month ago, an interesting experience happened in which there was this missing time situation from about 11 to about 3 in the morning, and coming back into very strange sounds around my house and lights. And it was very interesting. And it was like the third time that that's happened to me in this house that I live in right now. So it's been very interesting. But yeah, communication has ramped up for me. I don't know how it's been for you, Dave, but literally telecommunication, kind of psychic communication has really ramped up.
I have not had anything good happen in a while. I got nothing.
Oh, yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah?
No,
Yeah.
I can't even brag. There's nothing. I'm
Interesting.
bragging about being boring.
It's not boring. You're like the king of ufology right now out here with all these incredible interviews that you've been doing.
Not even
Dave.
close. Not even close. You
You're
know,
doing good work.
I'm. Thank you, thank you. You know how it is about taking compliments. You don't like it when I give them to you. I don't like them when you give them to me. It's just one of those things we got going. It really is. But Geraldine, we always have new people tuning in for the first time hearing you, and you're somebody who has an amazing story, who's carried this torch, so to speak, on being an advocate and someone who is very, very focused on bringing the awareness of, improving your health, improving your consciousness, improving your intuition, getting in touch with your inner self and your extraterrestrial self. This is a busy life you live. Why did you choose it?
Yeah, why did I choose it? I mean, it was time. It was a matter of everything changing in my life from one moment to the next. In 2016 was a pinnacle moment where I decided that everything that I had come up to be, a career I was working in, was no longer working for me. And I realized that it was not congruent with my core beliefs at that time. So I had to just let that go. And when I came into, I think hypnotherapy, when I got my first hypnotherapy session, that was actually what really inspired me and made me realize the value of this kind of hypnotherapy work. And it inspired me to get my hypnotherapy degree, actually, learning about that, certified in hypnotherapy. And learn about how the mind works. How do we store memories? What does it mean when we have these shocking memories, sometimes traumatic experiences that we often forget things about, and sometimes later on begin to recall these memories? So that was really interesting to me. And I could not go back to my everyday life and just continue a corporate job or my company, which I was in. I had a company, and continue to do that everyday thing. And also many things kind of started to open up. In the hypnotherapy, I began to download and channel information about our society, the structure of our society, what drives human beings into making the choices that they make. And the more and more I dive into that topic, the more I realize that we're really a product of social engineering that's been happening for a really long time now, centuries, really. And now that we are kind of waking up and becoming aware of how that social engineering has kind of affected the way that we make choices in life, who are we working for? What are we doing here? And where do these experiences, play? What place do they have in those? Because now I'm connecting with hundreds of women and men that actually have these experiences, and we kind of come across the same conversation. What's reality? How do we know what's real and how to discern in this confusion? So that's kind of where my focus is right now and where my primary research is at.
Is there anything, and I've never asked you this out of it, literally a couple hundred times we've talked now, is there anything that you miss about your old life that you would return to? Because I often wonder that.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, well, I think when you begin to kind of review the experiences that you have, and why you have those experiences, what I notice is that they begin to become repetitive. We begin to have these kinds of constant repetitive. And that's what I saw in my old life. I just kept seeing the same problems occur over and over again. I kept attracting the same people, the same kind of clients, the same problematic chaos things were happening along those lines. And I noticed that they were mirroring things that I had unresolved within myself. And I think a lot of people kind of are beginning to notice that. They begin to notice that they keep having these repetitive cycles occur. Why do these cycles happen? It happens because that is what programs the subconscious mind. That's what's informing how we're going to experience something. And it's a very complex topic that we can get into tonight as well. But it has to do with the magnetism that we have, our magnetic field and what we're attracting into our space. And it has to do with the thoughts that literally are designing how we're going to experience something. So I got tired of those old patterns. And of course, when you're going through a process of awakening, awakening means that you're taking a look at all of those repetitive programs, and you discover that by peeling those layers, you come down to a certain zero point, a point of neutrality, a point that's not really associated with identifying with events that are occurring around you, or identifying yourself with an image or a name or a career or anything at all. You begin to realize that you are at the very base of those layers. You're nothing. You're nothing. And that's very difficult. And I think that that was one of the hardest parts in this spiritual awakening, is becoming comfortable with becoming nothing and going back into society, and interacting with friends, with family, in a way that they would be able to have a conversation with you and continue to have this family experience with you. So really a lot of things change. A lot of things begin to break down. And we just have to be able to kind of surf that. And that's what these past 4 years have really been about for me, is learning how to embody this other state of being, holding space, and trying to really be congruent in the way that I live and what I do, the choices that I make with, that kind of spiritual awareness. That's kind of been a thing. So it's a completely different way of being. I would never go back to the old life in which there wasn't any of that awareness. It was just reactionary, reacting to the events that were happening. So, I don't think you can go back to that kind of a life again.
I'll tell you what I would go back to.
Uh-huh.
I miss sports.
Okay.
Ever since I became more in tune with who I am, I don't care for sports anymore. I miss sports. I miss other little things, whether it's going out fishing with my buddies for literally from sundown to sunset. I miss just being in tune with my friends, not being as critical as I am now. And but most of all, I miss being extroverted. I have become so introverted since all of this happened and my experiences started, and I really started getting serious about it in 2014, 2015. It started getting real heavy for me. I miss being extroverted. I miss being able to talk with people and trusting people. Because the one thing that I've learned is a lot of people, when you go down this path, they will stab you in the back. And they will walk away from you. People whom you've never expected. That's what I miss. I miss the friendships. I miss all of that. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Don't get me wrong. But if I could grab something from that old self and bring it into the new, it would be that understanding to be able to keep those bridges going.
Yeah, I totally get it. It kind of depends on the perspective that you have on the kind of relationships that you had too, and the level that you're at. I mean, when I look at my old relationships and I think, would I want to go back to those relationships? I mean, I don't see that they were as profound. I don't see that there was that depth or common ground or even awareness in the communication and expression and interaction. A lot of old relationships. And I didn't see that because I didn't see that in myself. So fast forwarding now to the kind of relationships that I have now, the thing is that the relationships would be more conscious, more aware, more observing, more connected. And I think I value that more now than I did before. And I think the part of us that is afraid of having that kind of intimacy with one another is the part of us that's afraid of being seen, our insecurities, the parts of ourselves that we still have a hard time accepting. And that's a process. It's a process that even for ourselves individually to accept those parts of us is a work in progress, and it takes time. But I mean, I think also I value different things at this time, and I think a lot of people are seeing that now that they're waking up. They also value different things, the quality of an exchange, the quality of connection with people, and a lot of our stimulation, which comes from the first three chakras, whether we're surviving, whether we're interacting with each other in order to get some feedback, or whether we're feeling empowered or disempowered in our exchanges, they play a really huge role in the way that we maintain relationships. And when any of those aspects are out of balance, we won't be able to maintain a quality relationship. So I think that we are oftentimes, we're kind of like, we become puppets, we become slaves to this stimulation. What is it that sports gave us at that time? It gave us this sensation, this happy, maybe this feeling of camaraderie and just like really exciting, fun time. So, that kind of stimulation is something that we become addicted to. And the question is, now that you don't need that anymore, that you don't feel called to have that entertainment, what stimulates you now? Maybe it's something deeper, more profound, something that speaks to other parts of yourself. And that's kind of where I myself have kind of come into this. And, once you realize that value, we go through highs and lows all the time. We're always like going through we're moving up and down through this state of awareness. We can come back to some of these friendships and come back and high again and observe it differently. But really, I think when you sit down and ground yourself, you want to have that level of connection with one another. That's a little deeper. That's more meaningful, I think.
You know what I don't like? And sometimes, and for people who are understanding the way Geraldine and I do this show, we literally have no script. There is no script to what we do. So everything that we talk about is very natural to what we are doing on a nightly basis. But you know what I don't like, and what really has brought me more introverted than ever is watching people treat people the way they are the last couple of years. All right? Whether we're, and I'm not trying to get political here, but I'm going to say it, okay? Whether we're accusing people of being racist or homophobes, or we are accusing people of saying things because we're taking a clickbait snippet instead of the full paragraph. Whether it's politicians, whether it's our teachers, whether it's, our grandfathers and grandmothers or our parents who have an old school way of thinking. We're hammering on everybody right now. We're hammering on people who don't wear masks, who wear masks, who don't want the shot, who have the shot, who grab 17 jugs of milk in the supermarket or 48 bags of toilet paper. We see all of this happening, and it's extremism at its best right now, which we've never seen in North America, where you look at somebody the wrong way, it could get you absolutely vilified on social media, or worse, killed. And we're seeing this, and and I'll be honest with you, it is so draining to me and to many others that I talk to, and I watch our chat rooms on a nightly basis. Life is really heavy right now, and it sucks. Not life. Life doesn't suck. Let me clarify. Life doesn't suck. Life is kind of cool. But the way we are going about it really, really sucks.
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you're saying. Just looking at history over the past 20, 40 years, though, I just want to remind that really everything is cyclical. I mean, we have gone through similar situations in which we were in complete turmoil, right, politically and socially in our society. I mean, we've dealt with different presidents creating these traumatic situations that have really caused collective trauma for society, in which we become incredibly doubtful and fearful and completely mistrust not just the government and the way things are being managed externally, but it completely destroys the way that we have a stable awareness of ourselves. And I think that when we look back at why those things have happened and how they have happened, and we look back at the past 2 years and how this has happened as well, why it's happened, again, we are experiencing another layer of this social engineering where collectively we are made to feel that there is no ground, there is no foundation, there is no light, or there's no truth to any of the things that we're doing. And I think that it's a major, major call to pull away from all of those things that cause confusion to really, because if we go back to the origin, I mean, if you go back to like the 50s and in the 40s, and you begin to look at how lifestyle was then, there wasn't any of these complexities. That complexity of questioning really on this deep level kind of was injected into society for a reason, in order to create major doubt and consumers and help feed the capitalist mentality. Because when you have people in a state of fear, in a state of chaos, they're going to run to fulfill that emptiness, that fear, by consuming things. So we're kind of turning a page here, where now that's now translated into another form of fear creating, mongering, media. We are completely managed by social media. The things that are being shown to us are calculating our every move just based on our history, our search history, who we're liking, who we're not liking, what we're sharing. All of this is coming into a database that is studying ourselves on a deeper level than we're aware of. And it is speaking and mirroring back to us what we're looking at, and oftentimes inverting what we're seeing. So when we really think about that, I think that what we're going through is a natural result of that. And so what would the solution be? The solution would be to really take a hard look at that and know when we need to pull away from these systems in order to get our head straight, connect with ourselves, connect more with nature. Because in nature, you're not going to have this kind of turmoil. And once we are educated by looking at that natural balance that we create within us, we can then carry that into our families, our relationships, our societies, and hopefully begin to create some stability. Because things do have to change, but the only way we're going to change them is by getting really clear about how to navigate this kind of doubt, this incredibly paralyzing, terrifying doubt that we are all kind of encompassing right now, you know?
Yeah, and I totally understand that, and I can appreciate that. It's heavy. Life is heavy right now. We're all stressing out. We all want to get back to normal, and we all want to go to rock concerts, go to festivals, and go to all these types of cons out there, whether it's spiritual cons or paracons or UFO cons. We all want to get out there. We're ready to go. We're all starting at the start line right now, and we're all leaning forward, ready to jump, and we're still being held back. And we're still, having to adjust. And
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. But again, it's like change is the only constant, number one. Number two, we have to remember that we are okay. We are okay. We have to create our reality. And I know that sounds like sometimes an obnoxious cliche that we hear about all the time, but when you really understand what that means, it means that we elegantly move away from these things that keep stirring up our constant, triggering that feeling of being unsafe. Because in reality, we're here. We have our homes, we have our families, everybody's safe in our families. We need to go back to basics. And this is why I work a lot with energy work and with my clients every day and in hypnotherapy sessions to help them create a really strong awareness of themselves. And we have to look back at the ancient techniques that have been used throughout history, throughout civilization, in order to rebalance the human body. We are incredibly advanced technology, and the system is basically using that. It's weaponizing the intelligence of our body because of our lack of awareness. And it's not to say that we're victims to this society, but we do have to take responsibility for what we're doing. And once we become educated on how we are a product of this society, start making some quick changes, right? Because otherwise we just become puppets to a system, and that's unacceptable, And I think that that's kind of what it's been working towards up until this moment right now, where it's worked. It's worked several times. They've done it with all kinds of things, with elections, with social medias, with marketing and all kinds of movements in our society. So now now that we are informed, it's time to make informed decisions. And that's kind of like where I would want to empower, hopefully, those that are listening to just remember that, you do have governance over your body, but you have to sit with it and listen to it and not be afraid of what comes up. And that's kind of the first hurdle when you're dealing with this kind of stuff at this level.
Wonderful. Geraldine, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You. We're going to try and lighten things up and bring our energy back up because I think we all need it right now. We need to pump ourselves up. That's what we got Geraldine for. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. We appreciate that she comes on once a month for The Spiritual You. We'll be back with more Geraldine Orozco coming right up. All right, we're clear.
Nice.
Hello, Chris Moe in Austria. Co-create. I know you're listening, and I saw your super chat note. That was taken care of. Before the show, I called myself a very non-politically correct name. I got real mad at myself. And apparently I accidentally recorded myself for like 4 seconds. So I had to go erase some stuff.
Oh.
It's like, oh, God. I've been in a rush since 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh, yeah?
And I haven't had a chance to slow down. And then I got my son late to his guitar lesson, and then late coming out of the guitar lesson, and all of this kind of stuff. And came home, set it all up. My daughter showed up from the coast, and it's like it's a quick hi and goodbye, and because she's going away for a couple of months, and it was like, here I am getting ready for the show, and I'm trying to type something in, and I have one of these laptop computers that has one of those overly sensitive mouse pads where if you wave over it and it hit record, and I just went, you know what, you effing something.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, stop. And then I forgot that it goes to YouTube, and I got rid of the one and forgot to get rid of the other. And now I've got rid of the other, and it's like, oh.
Oh, Dave, I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. We'll live. We'll live. I'm sure there'll be someone out there who grabbed a snippet of it. Oh, listen to Dave using all this crap. Oh.
It happens. It's a mistake.
Yeah.
Little error.
Yeah, but in today's society, you're not allowed mistakes like that.
Well, we have to allow. We have to be compassionate, We all have bad days. Nobody's perfect. That's ridiculous.
Oh, I know that. That's
gotta go. That idea.
Nicholas says you have eyes of an angel.
Oh, wow. Nicholas, thank you so much. That's so sweet.
All right. Hi, Callie Dude on Twitch. How are you? I still don't understand how that Twitch thing works. No idea.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But you're going live on it,
Yeah,
huh?
we're live on Twitch,
Cool.
Twitter, YouTube, and that's it. I won't go live on Facebook after they blew us out. Nicholas Patrick, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Harlan, how are you? Yeah, it was a good laugh for some people, but there's always those who are looking to screw you over and make up lies about you. So that's the problem with this field. That's the problem with this field.
Oh, yeah. A lot of fields, though.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fields are like this,
Yes.
Especially right now.
Hello, Elaine M., otherwise known as Crystal Owlin. How are you? Yeah, the 4-second clip is gone. And Dave does not eat breakfast for dinner. Filth. See, that's spreading lies right there. That's spreading dangerous, dangerous lies. Hi, Irish Lincoln. Oh, my God. This is why I love the people They absolutely cheer me up. Hey, Co-Create, where are you in Canada? Where are you in Canada? The gorgeous and talented Raspberries is here. There she is. Give us a wave. Jurassic Joey, good to see you. Thank you again. I'll quickly give a rundown here. Thank you to Co-Create ×2, Guillermo ×2, Sinister Vax, and Science Bob for the incredible super chats. It really supports what we do on a nightly basis here on Spaced Out Radio. I love each and every one of you. And from Hamilton, you're a Tiger Cat fan. A Tiger Cat fan. Yes, the Steel City in Canada, Hamilton.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. In Ontario.
I
Ontario,
see.
Canada.
Oh, I see.
Well, yeah, I know you don't know where that is.
I know where that is.
You totally do not.
I do. I know where it is on the map, but I don't know about the team, so,
Oh.
you know.
509er, how are you? Welcome back. The lovely Lynn Sows. The fires, they did a couple of backburns today, and apparently they are working, so hopefully it'll spruce things up. Dave is not on Team Rock. Dave is on Team Stump when it comes to Devil's Tower. All right? Always on Team Stump. Let's just not spread any vicious rumors and lies out there. Geraldine, we got 5 seconds, and we're going to get going here. So
Okay.
Here we go.
Sounds good.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Love the comment from Mennonite Abe here. I looked at a map of British Columbia and I barely see any roads outside of Vancouver. Do y'all ride Bigfoots to get around? Usually moose, the odd beaver tail if you're going to send the kids to school. Rarely a Sasquatch. We're working on that, though. But their contract demands are just way too high, Mennonite Abe. Way too high. Geraldine Orozco is here for the Spiritual You. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. Her hair is looking perfect tonight. Stunning. I don't know how long it takes you to do that beautiful mane that you have, but I'll tell you, it is gorgeous and shiny.
Thank you. I do nothing. The secret is do nothing, I think, which is good.
Come on, give us a secret. What kind of shampoo you use?
Oh my gosh.
What kind of shampoo and conditioner?
I tried to use as natural as possible, and that's it, Dave. Honestly, I have no crazy crazy routines of any kind.
All right. Don't believe you, but that's okay. We'll let that one go. Geraldine, let's talk some aliens here. All right, because in the past month, we have seen the report from the Department of National Intelligence come through, and of course, nothing coming through about extraterrestrials or any ET type of contact. Now, you're part of Team ET and Team Aliens. I think you need a You Got Aliens shirt from our store, to be honest.
It's true. I do need to get that, for sure.
Do you even wear T-shirts? Let's be honest.
Sometimes.
I bet you your T-shirt collection is under 4.
No, there's 4. There's 4 there.
Okay. Anyways.
I have 4.
Moving on. We'll get you one. Moving on. Okay. With this and the way we are moving, I mean, in one way we are moving towards some sort of knowledge and trying to figure out what is going on, but were you disappointed with the fact that there was no mention of ETs or anything to do with contact?
No, I wasn't disappointed. I really expected that to be the case, to be honest with you. When it comes to these things, and I mentioned it at the beginning of last month, there's definitely a reason behind this movement, and it's definitely not to talk about disclosure, more to prepare for something that's coming, I think, in the near future regarding our technology, regarding, some movements that are probably going to be occurring in government regarding some of this unidentified aspect of these phenomena. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. To me, I'm not disappointed at all. I completely accepted it. I honestly don't expect the government to provide anything that I need to hear to help me feel reassurance with what I know and what I experience. And I think a lot of people at this point are starting to kind of realize that, like, there's no reason why we should wait for the government to talk about that. We can't even get health care straight in the US, or some minimal survival things that we need for everyday life. So I can't see why this would be something that they would kind of talk about. But anyway.
In the groups you run with and the people you chat with, what do you think the ramifications are at this point, not in the future, but at this point of bringing in any sort of ET contact?
The ramifications are tremendous. I mean, you have to take a look that our entire historical timeline, not just that, but what rules everything right now are the banks. It's the money, where the money is, who manages the money. And the money is managed by a small group of people in which make all these decisions that are, running our society and all these things that we experience. So when you look at that, does it benefit these companies to have this information out? Religion would have to be revisited, and I'm very sorry, but religion is also a form of business. There's a lot of money moving around in the name of religion in order to have things accomplished in the political realm. And in politics, it's the same thing. A lot of lobbyists that are fighting for corporations to get what they need in order to move money in those directions. Pharmaceutical companies are lobbying for things to get pushed, bills to get pushed, so that money can be sent in that direction. So when you see that, you wouldn't want to put something in that to disrupt that wonderful balance of exchange that is occurring in that society, in the structure of our reality. So I don't see that would be something that would come into play anytime soon. We are moving more towards, as technology keeps moving forward, and as all of these companies that are storing massive amounts of information from us are being utilized to create a new system. And I think that we're going to be seeing that system implemented in the next 4 years. So that being said, once that system is implemented, the majority of people, will kind of have all their information as a part of their identity fully available at any time. And that can be anywhere from medical history records to what you're shopping, what you're doing, just the way things are happening in China right now, where each person has a certain score and identity. I mean, that's already being utilized in many different countries right now. In Russia, for example, they're already choosing who gets to go into a restaurant depending on their use of medications or use of pharmaceuticals. So when you see that happening in our society today, obviously there's many systems that are dependent on one another. And talking about ETs would have to destroy our history and the way history was set up. And that would affect the history of industries. It would affect religion. It would affect society. It would affect socioeconomic structures of people, how we have evolved. So there's a lot at risk here. And I don't think the average person understands that, because it's a lot of information that we really would have to dive into and research that, of course, a lot of us in the UFO community have seen. But the average person wouldn't be able to look at the ET topic and link all of these things to that. So I think that education about ET is important right now, about the idea of ET, interdimensional contact. This is the next step. It's technology and it's the next step for society. So we need to educate ourselves on what that actually means, little by little, and I think it's up to the people, the experiencers, you guys out there that have these experiences, to begin to discuss these openly, hopefully with family and friends, without feeling shame or guilt or any of that. That's kind of like something that has to go. But I also want to end it really quickly, Dave, with the idea that when we talk about the ET phenomena, we don't want it to be another distraction, because oftentimes it becomes a distraction where we forget what's important. The whole ET phenomena is a way for us to verify and understand that we are multidimensional, interdimensional beings. We are, us humans. And when we understand the dynamics of creation and how we are co-creating our experiences, we begin to educate ourselves on how we can be sovereign, governing ourselves, but at the same time, collectively making choices that are going to help and moving towards this unity in which we are careful with our choices in all areas of our lives. And I think that this is kind of the most powerful message that this kind of interdimensional ET contact can bring for us right now. That's my hope.
Do the ETs have a say?
Do the ETs have a say? I definitely think they do have a say, but I mean, there's so much information around the ET thing that it's not black and white. It's not simple. It's not a simple thing. We're talking about intelligences, interdimensions that we are tapping into that transcend all of our understanding of reality. So the way that they handle this kind of exchange and relationship with us, can be perceived in many different ways. Sometimes it feels like it's violating our rights and intruding into our everyday experiences, and other people say that it's healing and benefiting for us. I think it's up to us how we translate the experience with these ETs. And I think that through our awareness and management and dominance over this physical body, understanding the physical body, we can choose to have better experiences with them and kind of co-create experiences collectively that will be beneficial for the human race. When that union comes in, full. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think ET contact is a very personal thing. It's individual because we decide how we interact with these beings. We decide and we create that. So if collectively each person is creating positive contact, it will help move the entire human race in evolution. And that's kind of where we're headed. These ETs are, some of them are here to assist, and some of them are playing out that role that is more parasitic in a sense. So, there's everything.
You said something very important there. Very, very important. And that was that we have individual contact. The contact is for us. That is such a large statement on a small statement on such a large scale that I don't think the majority of people, even those who are contactees, can really grasp the power of what you said there.
Yeah, I know. And you're right. Like, that really takes an understanding of yourself. But think about it, because when we look at UAP visions, sightings, for example, you have groups of people. Some people see it, some people don't see it. So when you interview hundreds of people that have had sightings and their experiences are different, even though they were sitting in the same place, looking at the same spot in the sky, sharing that experience, it really says something about how certain people are prepared for that experience and some people are just not. And so we have to respect that. And I think that we are at the doorstep of traversing into a time in our history where we're going to be able to have these conversations more openly. And again, it's going to be something where I bring it, because, you know, I work with energy and this understanding, is that we have to bring it back to ourselves. What does it take for each human to begin to activate the ability to have interdimensional contact? A lot of people are having contact all the time. The thing is that we don't know that we're having contact. Oftentimes we have spirits, beings, orbs that we come and encounter with. We have them, we feel it in like entities or bodies or souls and energies in our space. We pick up on that. A lot of us are empathic. So that already is us coming into another dimensional timeline. That's the doorway into some of these experiences. Now, what's interesting is that now in our timeline, we are having news going crazy about talking about these UAPs, right? We have military that's now seeing and talking about it. So the veil is thinning more. Vibration of the entire universe is moving higher, allowing for more people to become aware of that. And I think it's time for that conversation to happen. But I think it's parallel with the evolutionary timeline that we're in. It's parallel with the technology that we have right now. And I don't believe that this is the first time we've been here in history. I think we've been in this place. You know, you can look at the Mayans, you can go back to the ancient Egyptians, you go back to Mesopotamia. We've been here before. This is not our first time. And so the question is, how will the human race navigate this time where we are now coming into this thinning veil in which we have an opportunity to interact with interdimensionality? That's the question.
Okay, so if that personal contact between ETs and humans is supposed to remain on that personal level, am I correct on that? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
Okay.
in a sense, yes.
Then why do they blank the memories?
Yeah. So it's not that necessarily. It's not that they blank the memories. It's that we also blank the memories, because we have to understand we are massive recording machines. We are absorbing 360 degrees information from all around us, even when we're not even aware what our back is doing or our leg is doing. It is recording all of its surroundings around your body. So what that means is that we store more information than we're aware of, and we register and trigger more memory, we have the ability of triggering more memory than we want to. Because we are mostly in the sensory body and used to stimulation, we're only triggering the things that cause us emotional feelings and triggers in the body. So a lot of times when things are traumatic, we tend to block it out. When we can't process the human experience with some of these interdimensional contacts, we block it out. And there is an element in which they help block that out, of course. But we create everything. You know, we are designing our experiences. We agree to these experiences, even if they're terrible experiences, even if they're incredible experiences on some level. We are designing these things. I don't believe that we're victims of anything. And so that being said, we play a huge role in how much we remember. How do I know this? And I hear this from many experiencers out there. They go deeper into meditation work, they start unpeeling the layers, and boom, all the memories come back. Why does that happen every time? Because we are deprogramming all of the fears and the emotional programs that suppress these kinds of sensitive information. So all of us have access to that information. And the more and more people I work through in hypnotherapy, looking at, let's say, simultaneous lives, past lives, and also looking at, their experiences, this information comes flooding back in when they resolve any kind of fear programming that they have. And a lot of times this is also used for trauma victims, just for example, in law cases or, lawsuits of some kind. I mean, they are using hypnotherapy in order to access memories that will go past the fear barrier that's created by the body. So we understand how that works. None of that's new. But we need to take it to the next step and see what that means when it comes to ET contact. It means that we're very much in charge of our experiences, and that kind of changes the way we see ET contact in a sense.
First of all, for our YouTube viewers, yes, I did just moisturize my hands. My hands were dry, so I put some lotion on my hands. Let's just clarify that. I like to moisturize my hands. What kind of moisturizer do you use, Geraldine?
Coconut butter.
I use a nice coconut peppermint oil.
Oh, there you go. Very nice.
Yes,
very nice.
That's the way I look at it. And anyways, moving on towards ET contact. We have about 4.5 minutes before we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Then in hour 2, we'll open up the questions for Geraldine with you in the chat room, if you were there, or on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. I understand what you were saying, but there's that little piece of me, Geraldine, that still doesn't make sense. Can't make sense of it all. It bothers me, like with the experiences I've had and hearing the experiences that other people have had. We're tired of this. We're tired of not remembering. We're tired of not understanding the purpose. We're not happy with not having the answer as why me, whether it's a positive experience or a negative experience. Where internally can we find that if it's locked in there?
Well, let me ask you something. I mean, do you remember what you had for breakfast last Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what you had for lunch and dinner and what you drank and snacked on throughout the day?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that we don't remember. And because we are trained, we are unfortunately programmed to be more mechanical in our responses and the choices that we do. Throughout our everyday life, how can we ask for these major memories to come back? When I was on board a craft in 2013 and I was in front of my hybrid children, the moment I looked at them and processed what I was looking at, it was at that moment that the memories started to come back in my mind. But before that, I mean, I couldn't even place any of those memories in my reality. So I was not ready for that. I was not ready for that because I didn't even believe in this kind of level of interdimensional connection. The reality was shattered, and I wasn't even raised in a very religious family, or I didn't have these strong thought programs aside from societal programming, which I obviously broke through. But it wasn't until I broke through that I even had the ability to process that experience. So this is a learning curve, and we're having these conversations because we need to educate ourselves on how to have that learning curve in a compassionate way, because it's not easy. It's really tough. We ourselves have a hard time even dealing with our negative emotions. Look at how we feel about society right now. We end up feeling helpless. We get exhausted, tired about the dramas that are happening outside of us. All of that is still the human playing out and reacting to the things that are happening around like a puppet, unconscious of the fact that we do have a choice. We have a choice in how we feel. We have a choice in how we're responding to things. And the quicker the human being really processes that in their mind, the quicker they'll be able to take control of the way that they experience life. Number one. Number two, the quicker you will be able to become aware in your everyday life, the more you begin to trigger awareness in sleeping time, dream time, astral travel, and then of course death. We talked about this in other conversations that we've had, but our life in a sense is a training ground for the ability to move detached from the physical body. So when we begin to have these kinds of out-of-body experiences, these astral projections, these dream time lucid dreams, that's actually when the soul, the essence of us, is actually moving and acting and working on another level that's higher than this. We have to remember that. And most of us don't want to remember that because we are still very much engaged in the physical everyday experience. And if the human wants to stay in that physical everyday experience and get lost in it unconsciously, go into hypnosis, right? Everything is designed to put us into hypnosis. And so if we like that and we're addicted to that, that's where our level of consciousness is going to be. So how many of us are ready to remember what's been happening? We have to deal with our fear, with our anxieties, with our doubts. Doubt is actually one of the most destructive emotions that a human can have because it paralyzes you. It doesn't let you even, process and rationalize why you are behaving in that way. So we're basically like infants, just learning how to navigate this physical realm. Why would we speed things up and start putting in the interdimensional, ET aspect?
Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You continues in hour number 2 next. We'll continue with audience questions. See where it goes, whatever topic. I'm sure it'll have something to do with aliens because we like aliens around here. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. We'll be back right after this. All right, we are clear.
Nice.
All right, I'm going to quickly run for a quick break here.
Me too.
I'll put you on mute, and I'll go like that. Be right back. Hi, gorgeous Kira. How you doing tonight? We'll be right back. Dave Scott, Spaced Out Radio. Spaced Out Radio, Dave Scott. Vinny, my favorite Vinny in the world. It's good to see you back in our chat room, man. We've missed you. I know it's only been a few days, but gosh, we need our Vinny fix here nightly, man. We do. Welcome back, Alaska's greatest athlete. We'll just wait for Geraldine to join us, and then we'll be good. We got about 90 seconds here. I hear her. You know what I hate is when your coaster gets stuck to the bottom of your glass, because the minute you do anything, that coaster is going to fall. Drives me nuts. Oh, there she is, everyone. The gorgeous and talented Jennifer Hawkins has arrived in the chat room. Yes, thank you, Kirk, for pointing that out. We are on commercial break for our radio stations, which is why we take a break. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's get the lovely and talented Geraldine on there. What are you reading?
What am I reading?
You're always looking to your right. What are you reading?
You know what? I have this ring light in front of me, and my screen is split in two. So sometimes it goes back and forth. So sorry. I know it's funny.
That's okay. Hi, Jim Lucier. Good to have you back, buddy. And thank you to Alicia, to Ozzy Ange, Toe Tag, Horror Realm, Co-Create, Sinister, Guillermo, and Science Bob for the super chats. Thank you to all the veterans listening to this show and our regulars who are here nightly. Here we go with hour 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to remind you that you can listen to us on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Nougamint. Nougamint is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Geraldine Orozco and The Spiritual You. Geraldine joins us once a month here to check us on out for everything that our Zen and Chi can handle. Throw in a little bit of aliens, and we got a great show. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. Geraldine, welcome back.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here again.
All right. Kronos is asking, could the aliens be using certain humans as spies to betray our own?
That's an interesting question. You see, one of the things that I wanted to kind of point to end the last comment, which ties in with what you're talking about here, is that the way that we are moving collectively. So the entire universe, the way that it moves, the earth, the movements of energies, the way that the earth oscillates to create its toroidal field, the way each planet oscillates to create its toroidal field. When you take a look at the entire multiverse, you begin to notice that there is a certain shape which is round. It's a spherical shape. The planets are spherical, and the design of our universe as well is a sphere. And this sphere, this design, this incredibly beautiful design of the sphere is something that we even see in the shape of our cells, the way that each cell oscillates to create its own toroidal field. And the way the energy moves through the body is also in this spherical motion. So What that means is that this is kind of the natural design of all organisms. And eventually, we move from a particle state into a unity state where it becomes one whole solid. So I just want you to kind of wrap your head around the idea, the potential idea that instead of looking at things as separate, okay, like me and you, for example, all of us that are here listening to this show, we're tuning in from all parts of the world. And somehow we have this idea that we're incredibly separate and just different from one another. And although we are very unique, having different experiences in life, we are still made up of the same substances. We have the same kind of information collectively on this planet Earth. We are a product of this Earth. And ultimately, our movements and the choices that we make on this planet affect one another. We are completely interlinked. We are interconnected. So the idea of becoming one has to go beyond the idea that it's in your communities, in your societies, in the world. We are doing this also with these interdimensional beings, these other expressions of consciousness that are available in the universe, in the multiverse, because there are millions, billions of life forms out there that we are not aware of. The only ones that we're aware of are the ones that are in the psyche of this world, of this universe that we're in right now. So what does that mean? It means that when we think of aliens and humans to be so separate, we're absolutely not. When we look at DNA, for example, within our DNA, within our dark DNA, the part that our biologists don't know how to translate, is encoded all of the different races that are interconnected with us in this immediate universe. Just the way in the cell of an arm are all of the instructions to create arm parts and leg parts and heart parts. Each cell is writing the script for that creation, and humans and this earth function in that same manner. So it's important that we begin to look at things like that, because that's the future of contact. That's the future of evolution. If we continue to drill into our minds that we are in this war type situation where we're separate from the ETs and there are these manipulations, there are manipulations. But again, we are, in a sense, although interconnected, completely in charge of what we experience. That is just the ultimate truth. You are in charge of what you experience. And the moment you understand that, you can take back that power and begin to choose how you experience things. And this is the process that all great minds, all these Buddhas, all these people that have transcended this human turmoil, internal turmoil of becoming victimized by the system, have had to overcome. And right now we're at a point where we need to overcome that, So there is mind control. There is weaponization. There is parasitic consciousness. But how does a parasite work? A parasite works when an entity is unaware and neglects its own self in some way, that it becomes open for another consciousness to take over. And so we can all become that. We are that, as a matter of fact, because we are a product of social engineering. We have not understood how we function. Therefore, we are manipulated by a McDonald's sign, by a commercial with a sexy girl on there, right? We are constantly manipulated. So yeah, we are being parasitically fed on by systems that benefit from unconsciousness. And the same thing happens between higher intelligences. How can we think that these operate in a different way? So the other thing that makes this complexity even deeper is that the human is fragmented when it comes into a three-dimensional realm. There are multiple aspects of ourselves that are experiencing simultaneously other timelines. Therefore, your lack of awareness of yourself in this timeline and other timelines make you a perfect specimen in order to be mind controlled, in order for things to come in to implant into you thought forms and emotions that make you feel certain ways. So I think that right now we need to understand our, how the psyche works and how these dynamics work. We are constantly feeding information into our alien aspects of ourselves. I know for a fact through deprogramming that I was a part of many different councils, Council of 8, Council of 12, Councils of 13s, and all of them somehow were receiving information from me. And I came across that information without ever having heard about councils of anything. I was never into that, so and I see this with my clients that are completely in the corporate world that are having hypnotherapies come across this information without having ever heard it. So either we're a product of another higher level of social engineering on a psychic level that is collectively installing these programs and ideas into the collective, or we are genuinely tapping into some kind of phenomena that transcends the physical realm and starts to interact with this interdimensional plane. So again, we are completely in charge of that and how we translate what we're experiencing.
All right, let's go to the Revolution Radio chat room, and this is coming from May, who is asking, Geraldine, who do you have transmissions with when you were contacted?
I'm sorry, I missed that one word that you said. What's the second word? Say it again.
Who do you have transmissions with when you were contacted?
Transmissions. I don't channel information from my interdimensional contact. I completely just connect with whatever higher self, my higher self, or whatever I perceive as my higher self, and completely aware of what I'm navigating in those moments of contact. So, for example, I'm always questioning, I'm always aware, but not from a place of fear, just complete observation and neutrality. Because I find that when I inject with fear is oftentimes when I begin to see and want to apply meaning that's not there to these experiences. So when I observe these experiences from a more neutral place is when I begin to get like more pure form information. I kind of begin to understand where they're coming from, what's their purpose, what are they doing with me, why are they trying to get, what's the interaction about. And this is something that I also work with my clients in their own personal exploration with their contact to begin to understand what's informing that kind of experience. That's very important because, again, what makes us victims is coming into this, becoming a host. You don't want to become a host. How do you not become a host is by being totally aware of yourself from a place of neutrality. So that's really important. When I channeled information in my hypnotherapy, I wasn't channeling anything for anyone. There were times where there was an invitation to do so. There were beings that were coming into that hypnotherapy and saying, I want you to channel for me. I want you to say this. I want you to connect with this information. And to me, it never felt right for me. And I know that some people channel information, but what I have noticed in my journey is that I rather be completely aware of why I'm doing things and really understand that in a deep level. If I don't understand it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get into it. So that's kind of how I work with my contact at this time.
All right, let's move on to another question here. This one on Twitter from Carangio. Geraldine, is Independence Day or Close Encounters of the Third Kind a good representation of ET contact?
I have yet to see Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. But I will.
You answer Independence Day. I'll answer Close Encounters.
Okay. Perfect. I say no. I think that that's a complete, it's like propaganda for the idea of interdimensional contact. And this is exactly the kind of thing that I would like people to kind of move away from and get really clear. Anytime somebody's telling us how to think is the moment where we have to step back and be like, hold on, what do I think? And look at our own experiences. That will open space for our experiences. Go ahead, Dave.
With Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where people are taken, and some for years, and then there is a meeting place where contact with the government has been made. I strongly, strongly believe that what we are seeing right now and the reasons why we have been sped up is probably because of a Close Encounters of the Third Kind situation. I have a very strong suspicion of that. I have no insider information. But let's face it, if you look at the long-term effects of everything that has gone on the last 3 years, there has been no reason whatsoever for this entire phenomena to come out in public after 70-plus years of being hidden and people being claimed as crackpots for talking about UFOs and extraterrestrials. So when we look at Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and I encourage anybody recently, there's 2 movies that I would suggest. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, because I think what's happening now is what we're seeing play out. I am very convinced of that. And for those who have had real conscious contact, go back to around 1986, a Disney movie called Flight of the Navigator. If you have not seen that, I remember watching that movie as a kid, and I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. But watching it now, everything that we have learned from contactees who have flown the ship is in that movie. 30 years ahead of where we were talking about the internet. At least.
Wow.
It's powerful and it's strong, and I highly suggest that you watch that movie again. So I'm more of a Close Encounters of the Third Kind guy. I don't believe in Independence Day. And the reason why I don't believe Independence Day is if aliens have been here for centuries, like we believe we have seen them, I mean, they're in the hieroglyphics of Egypt and Machu Picchu and other places, they would have taken us over when our biggest weaponry was a bow and arrow and a catapult.
Right.
They wouldn't have waited for radar that can pick them up, or nuclear weapons like Tom DeLonge believes. All right? They're not afraid of our nukes like Tom DeLonge believes. Okay? They would have got us. They would have got us and they would have taken over this planet when our strongest weapon was maybe a bow and arrow, a spear, or a catapult. And that's where I'll leave that. I think that's a good place.
Very good. I agree.
Oh, you agree? Thank you. Thank you. I'm surprised you haven't seen Close Encounters.
I know. I haven't seen it yet. I really want to. So many people keep telling me you have to watch it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It is.
So I will. I will soon.
All right. Let's go to Australia, where Ange is asking, so Geraldine, we can manifest if we become one with the universe and use our discernment?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So let's go back to basics. What are the laws of our creation? The laws of our creation, we just have to look at nature to understand balance first, or conceptualize what balance is, okay? When we understand well-being for the self, for this little human organ, the human body, the organism, we teach ourselves through that process how to create well-being and sustainability for all, including we need to shift our mentality from the individualist consumer, to the collective whole. What's good for the collective whole? And that means that we're going to have to make a lot of changes in everything, our lifestyles, the things that we're doing. All of that is important. All of that plays a role. Because you got to understand that we buy and we consume what we consume in order to feed something. And it's a void. It's a void that we are unaware of. It's a void that we haven't understood. And so it drives the majority of our choices, our experiences, everything. So the question is, who are you? Who is the authentic self? Is it the one that runs away from these emotions because it's overwhelmed with what's happening? Or is it the one that sits there, listens to those emotions, understands them, processes them, feel them for what they are, and then see what's behind that fear and nurture that part of you? when we talk about the feminine energy coming, rising right now, what are we talking about? We're talking about the human coming into a state of vulnerability, and in that vulnerability provide nurturing support for that new self, the authentic self, that is a complete new thing that the majority of us have not experienced yet. And we have years and programming that are stored within our genetic code, literally. It's brought down genetically, that we have to work through in order to find who we are. When we reach that point of the 0 point of understanding who we are, without all of that identification with ideas, that's when you begin to enter the state of the creator. You manifest from there, because now you're not manifesting as a product of something else. You're manifesting from a pure state. This is the human superpower, the superpower that is being suppressed because it is creative, immensely creative. We are creative beings. As long as we're suppressed, we can't create. And that's how you become controlled. You become a host. So this is kind of where our attention needs to go now more than ever. And I think that this interdimensional contact pushes us to go beyond the physical in such a way that we are supporting ourselves in a very powerful way. And we begin to even have the universal unity conversation only if and when we are able to find that neutral, authentic self. Because anything before that will hinder from a place of fear and continue to see things in duality or separation or compartmentalization of all things. We cannot be one. We're still dealing with racism. To me, it just baffles my mind that we're still there. I just cannot understand how we're still there. But we have to remember that society tells us that's a problem, and we're like, yes, that's a problem. So each one of you is responsible for making that no longer a problem. You have to handle the parts of you that still think that's a problem. The fears, the parts of you that, feel that you're not going to be in power anymore, the parts of you that feel that you doubt yourself, your abilities, it's a victim to society. It's really deep processing that has to occur. So that's kind of how, and then through that work, we begin to understand what to discern, because it's very tricky. There's so much confusion right now. There's information overload. How does hypnotherapy work? You create information overload, so the person gets confused in a sense. This is overwhelmed with information, and boom, you put them into hypnosis. That's how hypnotherapy works. So right now we are a product of mass hypnosis, So stop getting all this information and silence. That is kind of like, we must really, really ask for that. Yeah.
All right. I think we got time for one quick one here. So we've got about 90 seconds. This one comes from Vinny. Do you believe in deja vu?
Yeah, not just believe, but I, experienced it, many times. Many people experience deja vu. That's not, in my opinion, something that is too far off. And I think that what's happening there is that we're accessing a memory from either this fragment sometime in our life or another fragment that is merging in that timeline at that time. I think it's confirmation to allow us to understand that we are somehow reuniting with other fragments of ourselves that kind of are moving in that same direction, that are congruent with what we're supposed to be doing. So it allows us to kind of feel validated in the choices that we've made and move forward. We know that we're going in that right direction. But when you look at it from the metaphysical point of view, I mean, these are timelines that are crossing. You're accessing a fragment of yourself. You're becoming aware of a fragment of yourself in another timeline that has been there before, that has lived that time. And it can be triggered through an emotion, through lighting in a room. It can be triggered by something someone says, or by looking at an object, or even the colors of an object triggers that kind of aspect. deja vu is a wonderful, wonderful way to understand your multidimensionality. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, Vinny, because it's kind of like really easy to understand that you feel it's like I've been here before. Oh, let's go. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
All right. Geraldine Orozco. We'll continue on talking about deja vu right after this on Spaced Out Radio. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. We'll be back with more of the Spiritual You and Spaced Out Radio next. I think it's funny. You cross your legs on your chair like I do.
Do you really?
I totally
can't
do.
sit any other way. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
That's so great.
Then I stretch out my knees for a little bit, and then I switch legs.
Me too.
Yeah,
exactly.
right like that. That was a switch right there. The old switcheroony.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great minds think alike.
Yes. Yes. And then there's the awkward silence. Oh. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, your hair grows unbelievably. If my hair grew like your hair, I don't know. That's amazing.
I know.
You just cut it like 4 months ago, I think. No,
I would lend you some. I would totally lend you some, but you have you got like triple of what I got. Triple.
No, your hair is much thicker than mine.
I don't think so.
I've
seen your hair in person.
Me
I just
too.
haven't had the balls to touch it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next conference we're at together, and all of a sudden you feel somebody scrounging through your hair, testing the thickness. That'll be me,
no,
or it'll
you.
be Vinny, one of the two.
Vinny, are you? Okay.
Yes.
That sounds good. You guys are allowed.
I will be back at UFOCon 2022.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's so great. So hopefully Lorian has it here live, and I'll get to see you then as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yes, I'll even wear a nice pair of Converse for you.
Wow.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the way I roll. Excuse me.
So, actually, I should not say that. I wanted to ask you, how long is your family going to be there?
Oh, we're not close to being evacuated yet. Not even close. No, we are pretty. As the crow flies, and I love that saying now, the big fire is about 18 to 20 miles away.
Oh, wow. That's pretty close, actually.
It is very close.
Yeah.
But
Goodness.
It's better than 3 miles.
Right, of course.
And it's, the wind has been pushing away from population, which is good.
Wow.
Yeah. That's really
so the air quality must be going down a little bit, huh?
Air quality is pretty good right now.
Oh, really?
This morning it was a little hazy. They did a bunch of controlled backburns today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that seemed to work for now. But I mean, we're scheduled for lightning tomorrow. That'll spark up a bunch. If worst case scenario, I'm ready to go. You know, and that's the reality of it. You got to be.
Yeah.
It's where you live, and you know, if we got to go, we got to go. If my house burns down, it burns down. I mean, everything in here can be replaced.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, except all the artistry from Dirty Filth.
That's true. So you better pack that up and have it ready to go with you.
Yes. Yes. And, I honestly, but if you haven't done it before, it is really eerie when you go through each room of your house and you're like, okay, what do I take? What do I leave? And
Yeah.
I've done that once
That's very
before.
tough.
I've
Wow.
done that once before, and it sucks. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie, it really sucks.
I know. How do you
So,
choose? Yeah.
so I mean, realistically, ID, toothbrush, medication if you're on it, water,
Yeah.
animals, photographs.
Important documents too. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you can.
everything that's important you go through.
Yeah.
Big thank you to Ange, Alicia, Toe Tag, Horror Realm, Co-Create ×2, Guillermo ×2, Science Bob, and Sinister Vax for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Geraldine Orozco and The Spiritual You. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. And right before the break, Geraldine, you were talking about deja vu. Whether you believe in it, whether you don't, you wanted to go a little bit in depth with it.
Yeah, so we were just talking about, we were talking about how it's like crossing timelines, and it's a wonderful way to understand our multidimensionality and how our reality functions, So, yeah.
All right, let's move on to Jim's question. Says it's an odd question. Geraldine, can you see the future of the Catholic Church?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question. I think we're looking at most religions. Can I see it? No, I cannot see it. But I'm looking at the trend lines of how religions are, and I think there's going to be a really a split in society, in people going more towards religions on one end and others separating from it. So I don't know, but I think that we're in a time of separation in which people are really beginning to question religion. A lot of people are moving away from religion, because it no longer answers a lot of the questions that we're asking now, including, ET contact, including these UFOs and sightings and things like this and phenomena. So it's interesting. Either the churches and religion will adapt somehow to some of these things. I think maybe some of the newer religions are kind of trying to adapt to some of these new trends in a way to gain more followers or to, establish themselves in society. But I think it's up to us to discern whether it's something that we want to go into or not. It's all about discernment right now. The only thing I would say is look at the history of each of these religions and see if it's something that you want to support. Is it something beneficial for society moving forward or not so much?
Don't blame you. All right, VPXM, good Canadian kid. Would human awakening be because our system is now moving through different galaxy systems, or is it pure entity communication?
Oh, that's an interesting question with different parts that I think play different roles in the process of awakening. I think that our entire system is moving through a specific timeline. The universe, the entire universe functions and moves in a trajectory of an infinity cycle. And the infinity cycle, when you come to the center point of that, oscillates at a much higher level. And so we are at that point. We are in that moving where the vibrational frequency, everything is moving faster, higher. And so that allows us to interact with some of these interdimensional aspects of ourselves. So everything is kind of playing a role in the experiences that we're having collectively here. And we're naturally situated in a place in which these experiences are, coming into play right now. They're coming more into mainstream. They are coming available to more people. More people are remembering their experiences and being willing to talk about them. All of that is a result of the vibrational frequency in which we're collectively experiencing. Now, you talked about entity communication, or, these beings, or this other consciousness, a disembodied consciousness that is outside of our physical body. In which case, in a sense, we interact with it through our bodies. Just to be clear, our bodies are what allow us to experience these interdimensional entities, beings, whatever they are. So wherever we're at in our evolutionary awakening, in our process, make us a match to what we're going to experience. If we are more fearful of ET contact, and that is still in our realm, more likely than not, you're going to be attracting pretty traumatic experiences that are going to trigger and mirror those parts of you. If you are still in the part of healing, and in your mind, the interaction is for a higher vibrational purpose, a lot of times you will attract that kind of contact as well. So I think it plays a role. But again, it's an exercise for the human to begin to dominate its ability to navigate these realms, to interact in lucid dreaming, in waking state, in when you're astral projecting, and begin to activate the incredible abilities that the human has to communicate in this interdimensionality. Your psychic abilities, all of that has to come online right now. There's an invitation for that because we're situated in a time in which we can do that. So it plays a role. And all of these things play an important role in that. Thanks for that question.
Bigfoot Rob is asking, is deja vu a premonition of past or present, or some sort of astral travel?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so when we think about, what deja vu is, it feels like we are reliving the past. Are we reliving the past? Well, what I think deja vu helps us understand, and why I say that it's a wonderful way to understand our interdimensionality, because we are merging timelines, meaning that simultaneously you're living your current timeline, and you're tapping in or recognizing something that you think has occurred already. You're recognizing yourself in that moment, which means to us that we've been there before. But perhaps you're becoming aware that you are simultaneously experiencing something. You're merging yourself with another aspect of yourself. And so what makes those deja vu experiences so powerful is that they allow us to kind of question time, right? What's time? Well, we scientifically know that time is just a reference point. It's just a way to measure what we're experiencing. There really is no past. There is no future. It's not linear. It is spherical. And this is scientifically already proven, that it is more of a spherical format in which all things are occurring simultaneously. Wherever we have access to in our subconscious mind, in our awareness, we have access to those parts of us. So this is an exercise that we're invited to practice. Your waking state, meaning that you're consciously aware in this time, allow you to become aware of how you are interacting in this moment. So that's a choice, again.
Okay, let's move on. Lots of questions for you. Jim is asking, is there a galactic federation helping to guide and protect humankind?
I get asked this question a lot, and I have kind of a complex answer to it. It's not an easy thing to answer. But what I have And my answer to this has kind of evolved over the past 4 years. In Because I've had so much contact, because I've had different kinds of contact, and because I work with people that have contact as well. And what I keep constantly coming back to is the basics on how our consciousness operates. We live in a compartmentalized reality. We live in a dualistic expression, which means that we tend to want to see things as black and white. That's how we see things, because that's kind of what this world is created and designed around. Okay. But that doesn't mean that that's the ultimate truth. And that also doesn't mean that that's the only way that things operate. When we're dealing with interdimensional consciousness, we need to push ourselves to move past the limitations of what we see in this three-dimensional physical plane. We can't keep looking at things as black and white anymore. And so now we have to educate ourselves in that our interactions are gonna go beyond, that kind of spectrum. The exchange that occurs with your consciousness and the consciousness of these beings is different. And the way that they operate is on a higher level. They are speaking to the laws of creation, which most of us, we're not used to. We don't understand. And they go beyond black and white. They go beyond duality. The laws of creation in this three-dimensional talk about the positive and negative, feminine and masculine, uniting in order to create something. But when you start getting into other dimensional planes, you're now looking at 3-4 aspects of something uniting in order to create other aspects, other dimensional planes, other functions, other perspectives of looking at something. So these interactions, the exchanges that are occurring between humans and interdimensionals, are going to be very difficult for the human to translate. And they operate on these higher levels. The idea of having experiential agreements, contractual agreements that we make with them are being done in past lives. They're being done on other simultaneous timelines, which means you can't categorize them the way you want to do it in the human form. What we may think is helping sometimes might be the opposite. What we might think is destructive might be the opposite, okay? For example, let's look at the hybridization program. The human race has been in a hybridization program since the inception of life on this planet. We see that by the traces and historically looking at our DNA, our genetic origins, and historically in history. So to negate that, would be pretty silly of us to do. So the more we understand that that's a part of our reality, we begin to look at the human when it becomes conscious that it's been in the hybridization program or participated in some part of this. The question comes in, where's my free will? Did I choose to do that, or was I a victim? Was I utilized for this? So that's where you start to look at the higher laws. You're playing a role in a part of something that you chose to come into. A part of you has chose to come into, not all of you, because there's many fragments of you. And so you're living out this experience in which you are interacting in these other dimensional planes. So maybe we are helping the race by continuing to bring these new, higher, evolved beings into the timeline. Okay? And it's a very complex thing. There's no black and white answer to this. We are dealing with intelligences that are operating on a higher level, that work and respond to natural laws that transcend the human earth. It goes into other dimensional planes. And so for that reason, our ability to comprehend that is not going to apply. That's why it's so difficult, even for experiencers, to really wrap their head around this, because there's many parts to it and it's not simple. So what I say to experiencers is to use your discernment to the best ability, to the best that you can. And to me, the most important thing for the human is to quickly utilize its intuitive abilities to begin to discern how they made the contracts that they made. In my life, I realized that there's many contracts that I shouldn't, right? The idea of shouldn't, which is, it's not real. the idea that I could have made a different contractual agreement in those experiences if I was more conscious at other times. And that's a learning process that our soul goes through in order to evolve. They are experiencing that, and we are experiencing that. And together we share those experiences. So that's my take on it. It's not black and white.
All right, let's move on to another question here. This one comes from Carangio. Can out-of-body experiences help psychics or empaths become better Reiki healers?
Kenobi, yes. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. And the reason why is because if you are training yourself in an out-of-body experience, hopefully you are educating yourself on how the mechanics of that function, which means that you're navigating the out-of-body experiences, not being ruled by the laws of the physical realm. That means that you begin to notice how these other realms function. And those other realms are where our body expands into, the multidimensional body. We have 13 dimensions as part of our body. And out-of-body experiences are usually experienced in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th dimension of the body. So that means that you're beginning to access that level of information. And when you work with someone, you can also begin to recognize within them if they have the capacity to enter, if they've been in those dimensional planes, and you can begin to help navigate that, because the vibrational frequency of a person that is in and out of those higher dimensions will show. It'll show in their auric field, it'll show in their presence, it'll show in their health and the balance of their body as well. So you're speaking the language of the universe, which is energy, light, sound, vibration, and your access into those dimensional planes helps you translate what you're picking up from your subjects, your clients, and what you're healing.
Let's move on here. Black Rabbit is asking, what is your opinion on déjà rave, precog dreams?
Yeah, that's another wonderful way to take a look at how we are in this kind of, let's say, co-creating kind of a holographic reality with one another. It's a really amazing way that when we kind of have these dreams that we know something's going to happen and it happens the next day, we're tapping into the DNA of the earth. The earth also has a DNA. What is DNA? It's the record keeper of information in order to create, in order to write what happens next, right? So we tap in to the Akashic records or to the records of this earth that we have access to. We all have access to. And we have access to that by entering in, quieting the analytical mind and the process mind that functions from the lower 3 chakras with the ability to access some of these higher informations. And it allows us to process that. And in that, time does not exist. Once again, we're tapping into pure form information that is, again, that spherical model. And when you tap into that spherical model, there is no beginning and end or front and back or, past and future. You just tap into information. So more and more that you practice that ability, more people are able to train that kind of intuitive ability, and they have precognitive dreams, they have these premonitions, they have these really, really strong feelings that something's going to happen because they're already tapping in, and the higher dimensions of themselves bring in that information into the now moment and play it out. So this is, it's very important. It's very important to practice that.
Good call, good call. My friend Terrence in Toronto, still heartbroken that it's been since 1967 that his Toronto Maple Leafs last won a Stanley Cup. That just feels so good to say. So good to say. Anyways, let me just... that feels good. It feels
Okay.
real good. Terrence is asking, is there a surefire way to decipher a dream from an experience?
Well, The way I answer this question is how the human body adjusts to what you just experienced. In reality, your physical body doesn't know how to discern, uh, an illusion from a real experience. Okay. So what that means and how trauma functions is that it's all based on perception, the way that you perceive and process what you've experienced. So it's the same way in these kinds of experiences. There's some people that have lucid dreams that are so powerful that they wake up and they literally can't manage their day because it was such a powerful experience. Maybe they dreamt that they died or they had something, and it really just takes their whole day off balance. So again, this is having to train the body to understand the difference between reality and illusion, in which there's no such thing. All of it is something that we're creating. Okay. And we create that based again on our beliefs, and we create it based on the way that we wish to experience things. And that's all programming. So in a dream, for example, how does the dream, how do you wake up from that dream? Do you have physical things that happen to you? An experience oftentimes, is a very physical thing. So for example, in my experience, from one day to the next, I woke up with psychic abilities. So that couldn't have happened in a dream, or we'd like to say that wouldn't have happened in a dream, because there was a literal physical and genetic change to my body from that moment forward. Something shifted completely. And I see this a lot with clients also. They wake up healed, they wake up, changed. What we're tapping into are the dimensions from the 9th up into these 13th dimensions. So the dream realm is in between those dimensions. So the way that it affects your body, in the physical, you're physically, a fractal of yourself is traveling in dream time, and in a physical experience, your entire body can be in that experience, or it can also be through astral projection. So all of you are one. All your fragments are still one piece. Your human body is one piece, and the fragments are one piece. You're experiencing it all. So I don't want to, there are very clear differences between a dream and an experience, but there's also many people that have dreams where they have ET contact, and those dreams translate into reality, or have stronger side effects in the psyche. What matters is how we move forward from those experiences. Does it affect your body? Did something change? And then, move forward from there. You're still in that non-physical realm or the physical realm. You're dealing with other dimensional timelines, and that's going to cause a huge effect on the physical body.
I think we got time for one more question here. And this one comes from Jennifer. What is the one thing people could do to begin creating peace on Earth?
Well, the number one thing is to create peace in you. Are you peaceful? And what does peace actually mean? I mean, a lot of people don't really realize what peace actually means, because it's a foreign thing. It's a foreign thing to a lot of us to be able to feel peaceful, to feel calm for prolonged amounts of time. How long can you go without feeling triggered or stressed by things that happen outside of you? When you can answer that question, and the answer is a week, a month, many months, then you can start coming into this other state in which we begin to change. And because we create from our mind and from our experiences, your environment will begin to mirror that. And I know this from personal experience and from working with my clients. It doesn't mean that the test or the testing of life or the experiences of life get easier as you evolve and you wake up. Oftentimes they get harder. But those experiences are there to help you find that balance again and again and again and again. That's what we're here to do. We're constantly evolving. And you are returning back into that state of unconditional love of self, that neutral point. to be able to teach ourselves to walk back into that space at every time is actually one of the most powerful things that the human can do in order to discern, to heal, to manifest, to begin to create change in the world. Because without having gone through that process, you will not understand what peace means and what it looks like.
Geraldine Orozco, we have her till the bottom of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for tuning us in. We got her for another 30 minutes, then the SOR News Wire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues with Hour 3 next. What was I saying about a coaster sticking to the cup and then it flies off, made me spill my drink over my keyboard and all over my shorts. So I have to go get a wet rag. I will be right back.
Go ahead, Dave. Yeah, I'll be back too. Go ahead.
We'll just put you on hold right there, lovely and talented Geraldine, and I'll be right back. I can wipe everything down. Yeah, Papaya, welcome to the chat room. Thank you for joining us. So I clean off all the sticky stuff off my desk. And who else is new in here? I know I'm missing someone or two. Dave is totally having a night, Jessica Lee. By the way, Jessica Lee has fantastic teeth. And she's got the best hair in Spaced Out Radio Land. Totally does. Out of all our listeners, she's got the best hair. Not going to lie. She even beats Joe. Joe held the title for men, holds the title for men. Jessica Lee holds the title for women. It's fantastic. I'm not going to rant again tonight. No. I got nothing to rant about. I'm too tired. Robert Moore, welcome. Magnus for Magnuson, welcome back. Big thank you to Ozzy Ange, to Alicia, Toe Tag, Horror Realm, Co-Create ×2, Sinister Shorts, Guillermo ×2, Science Bob, for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And thank you to all the veterans who listen to this show, as well as all of our regulars who are here nightly. I absolutely love you and appreciate each and every one of you coming on in. Chad Smith is here. We can officially restart the show. And Betty Boo, how are you? We're 13 seconds away. Geraldine is hanging on out. We'll get her to turn her camera on, and we'll kick things off here on the radio show right now.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to remind you that you can tune us in on any of our terrestrial radio stations or on, what's the other one I'm talking about here? Our digital stations on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Nougamint. Nougamint is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce Geraldine Orozco. The Spiritual You happens at the beginning of each month, where we hang out with the lovely and talented Geraldine and get into our Zen and our Chi and everything in between. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Geraldine, welcome back.
Hey, thanks so much.
You're very welcome, and we always appreciate when you are here. Look, it's summertime. It's hot. It's disgusting. Forest fires everywhere in certain areas around me especially. How do we keep positive? How do we bring out those positive projections? Considering we can't travel, should we just astral project somewhere? Is that what we need to do, is just astral project?
You know, the idea that we have to be happy and smiling and everything has to be perfect all the time really causes a tremendous disservice and pressure, social pressure, mental pressure, emotional pressure on humans. And I think that it's one of the most really disingenuous things that we can do to one another is to think that we have to be happy, smiling, in a state of Zen all the time. what we would like to do is to accept the things that are negative. And accepting is not you're saying they're okay. Accepting means that you're aware that they're happening, you understand that they're happening, and once you've processed all of those emotions that come up as a result of that, that's when you can begin to master. It's personal mastery, right? Once you begin to deal with those emotions, you begin to take a step forward where now, once you're done with that, now other emotions come in and it begins to clear your mind and you think, how do I respond to this? How can I move forward? And your choices from that point will not be charged with anger, with frustration, with, anxiety, with denial. And that is a better place for you to not be in that constant state. Most of us are in that constant state of denial, of anger, of rage, of the suppression of all the emotions that everyone says we shouldn't have, of all of these things. That's an illusion. That's not true. We live in a dualistic reality in which we are here to experience everything. We're here to experience bliss, ecstasy, as well as suffering and pain. But they're both choices. They're both choices. And I know that people keep saying, oh, but this and the government and I have to pay my bills and I have to do this and I have to do that. Yes, we all have to do that. You have to accept that. Once you accept that, you can begin to make changes in your life that begin to pull you away from that. That's true, but you can also learn how to farm your food and move away from the cities into your own land and begin to, self-sustain and take care of your own personal needs in a different way that's not dependent of the city. This is also an option. Yes, it takes preparation. Yes, it takes money. Yes, it takes time. But if that's what you want, if you're sick and tired of the system, then are you taking the steps to begin to move yourself away from that into a different kind of lifestyle? That's available. People are doing it. People are doing it and they're fine and they're doing what they need to do. And I'm sure that they're going to find struggles in that life as well. You can never get away from struggles. Struggles are always going to be there. The thing is how we manage it. Okay, so we just have to it's kind of like we're being asked to kind of mature from the child self that wants to pout and get angry that things are not going the way we want them to go, into a self that is ready to accept and then take conscious actions to move forward into not being in that space. The problem is that the majority of us, we think that we're stuck. We think that there is no other way. And that's a lie. That's a lie that the system has fed into us and drilled into our minds in order to make us feel helpless. There is another way. There's many other ways. There is free sources of energy. There's free sources of education. There's community. There's society. There's love. There's a real way to have a proper family unity. And there's a way to create community. And it doesn't have to be with your biological family. It can be with others. Okay? So there is a way of living that is not in that constant state of suffering. But you're going to have to let go of a lot of things that you're used to, like all the things that, you live right now that are allowing this kind of life. Sometimes those are very comfortable. Sometimes your emotions in suffering are comfortable. So, for us, we can sit and pout all day, but what will it take for you to actually take control of your life? And that's where it kind of gets turned around back at us. And that's where it's at right now. We need to go back and we need to make the right choices. We need to kind of revisit where we're contributing to that kind of a society and move away from that. So that's what we can do. So, when we're looking at these natural events happen, they happened. What can we do to change that? If more of us thought about solution and thought about how to unite together to find these collective solutions, I guarantee you that in a few years, ourselves and our generations, our children that are coming into society, are going to be able to help solve those problems in different ways. But we can't fix things from the same place that we created it. So, that's something you need to understand and change that.
All right. What about astral travel? Do you astral travel quite a bit?
I do. Yes. Yes, I do.
Where do you go?
But, well, a lot of times healing work, I do healing work on people in my astral travel. And it's something that is kind of just ongoing at all times. So when I begin to, go into that astral travel state, I'll just automatically find myself in another part of the world or another realm or on a craft or something like this, and I'm doing some kind of healing work on that level. So when I'm stressed out in my own life, I don't have access to that. That cuts off. When I wake up from that stress and when I start taking control of myself, I immediately have that connection. And I think that that's true for a lot of people. It's something that we have to cultivate constantly.
How does one astral travel if they haven't already?
Yeah. So that's a really huge topic. But let's try to break it down as much as we can. In order to astral travel, you have to become aware of yourself throughout your day. So, for example, become aware that you are awake. You are aware. As a matter of fact, the majority of us are more sleeping in our waking state than we are in dream time. Okay. And because more of the brain is active, more of the brain is traveling, more aspects of our multidimensional body are more active when we're out of the body. So that has to change. So you have to be more aware during your waking state. So for example, are you aware of your body? Are you aware of where you're at? Are you aware of your emotions and why you have them? Train yourself throughout your day to check in with you 5, 6, 7, 12 times throughout your day. You can set an alarm clock like you have for water, for example, like to drink water or to breathe. Set yourself an alarm, several alarms, and then throughout the day, check in with yourself and get fully in your body. That's the first step. And try to train yourself, do that over the course of a month. You're also going to want to kind of change your sleeping patterns. You want to start sleeping earlier between the hours of 10 and 4 p.m. is when you want to try to get 4 a.m. is when you want to try to get as much as your sleep as possible, because this is the time where the body has the ability to detach easier from the body, and the processes of cleansing of the body, like the organs are cleaning around between 2 and 4 a.m. are really heavy states. And if you eat late before you go to bed, you're going to be going into that process later, and it's heavy and you won't be able to detach from your body. So make sure that you're eating early and allowing at least 4 hours before you go to sleep with empty or, already having eaten. When you're going into your dream time, you're going to begin to feel yourself detaching from the body. As soon as you start having the feeling that sometimes people feel anxiety when they're just about to detach from the body. Sometimes people feeling that they're falling. You need to train yourself to allow yourself to just surrender to those feelings. And that's kind of the hardest part. What my shaman taught me when I was doing this is literally, and this is really funny, to just roll off the bed a couple times, okay? And get used to the feeling. Don't hurt yourself, right? And you put pillows underneath or whatever you need to do. But get comfortable with that feeling of falling. If you like roller coasters, it might be easier for you to be okay with that feeling, okay? So allow yourself to let yourself go into that sensation. And right when you're dropping out of the physical body, a lot of times you'll hear a really loud noise, like a helicopter or like a pop or like a bang or something like this. And that's when you're detaching from the physical body. So allow yourself to be okay and don't get scared by that. That's you leaving the body. Then when you start going into the travel, that awareness that you practice throughout your day of being in the body, you're going to do that in your dream time. And I want you to say that to yourself as you are falling asleep, that you're aware of your physical body, connect with your body. Another way to help yourself go deeper into this projection is that to set your alarm around 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. and wake up. You can use the restroom. And when you come back to sleep again, that moment, again, be aware and then let yourself fall into that deep sleep. And a lot of people experience astral projection in that second time, because it's when your body has already cleansed, and it's really easy to move in and out of the physical body at that point. So those are just some tips that I can give you to kind of get into that. But the number one way to begin to practice that is to practice your conscious awareness throughout your waking state. And I found naturally that that's how I was able to do astral projection. And keep in mind that this is training for death, because we have to be okay with those same fearful processes when we're leaving the physical body at the time of death. So, again, this was studied for many, many ancient civilizations. We're just tapping into something that, we've already known. Yeah.
Rock and roll. We've got about 9 minutes left with you tonight. Okay. And time's flowing on by. When it comes to astral travel, what should we look to accomplish while we're on our journey?
Wow, that's a powerful question. I think that you are here to create. I think that when I think of all of the possible reasons that mankind is here, and based on the natural laws of creation of our reality, so a lot of people say, oh, we're here to experience things, but I think that it goes a little beyond experience. I think that we are here to create. I think that if you are in your state of creation, which means that you are congruent with the things that you're doing, it's incredible what man can create. And I think that that's the most powerful thing, whether we're creating life or where we're creative with, some artwork or something to change the world, or even just to heal and to experience in your body and create through your everyday experiences. That is what the human is here for. So if you are not creating, if you're stagnant and stuck and depressed and angry and in denial of the things that are happening in yourself and around you, you're not going to be creating anything. So you have to really take a long, hard look. The last day in your life, when you're on your deathbed and you look back, is that going to be something that you're happy with? Is that will that have fulfilled you, and all of the potential things that you could have been experiencing? Educate yourself on how mind control has, social engineering has affected the way that we look at ourselves and the world around us over the past 50 years, and question whether you want to be a puppet to that system or whether, you want to take control of your experience. So that's kind of where I would end it.
All right. 11 is asking, is it true that meditating in dreams is more effective than meditating while awake?
Oh, that's interesting. I have done, I have done meditation in dream time. In a sense, it is more powerful in that you're not limited by the physical body and the limitations that are perceived limitations of the physical body. But when you practice meditation and working with your energetic body for a long amount of time, it's the same. You should have the same effect on your physical body, to heal the body, to balance the body, to nurture, to grow, to develop. So you should be able to have the same effect on your physical body. Remember that we're working on different levels. In dream time, you're in the 8th, 9th, 10th dimensional plane. So you have access to those planes. The more you navigate them, the more you get acquainted with them, the more you can work on those higher dimensional planes and then move higher, right? And that's the purpose. Hopefully we get to those higher levels. Yeah.
Last night, I had a series of 4 lucid dreams.
Oh, interesting.
I know there was 4. I don't remember a single one. And I know that I woke up very tired this morning.
Wow, interesting.
I
know.
Like
it might be contact.
No, I know it wasn't contact.
Oh, okay.
Because there was no aliens around.
Uh-huh.
No aliens around. And normally when I have contact, there's aliens around.
There's aliens. Okay, very cool. Wow.
So I'm not very sure about the full extent or causation of lucid dreaming. And there's a lot of people out there who experience this and may not even know they're having these very real-like experiences. How would you define them? How
do I define them? I mean, I'm constantly in these other dimensional planes. So to me, it's just a part of the structure of our reality. Okay. And I look at historically how we have trained ourselves to dive into these other dimensional planes through lucid dreaming. And I look at how we've discovered that through lucid events and astral projection is the gateway to death and to leaving the body, right? You know that the government, did experiments on pilots inside of this revolving test for G-force, and the faster it would go, they would experience out-of-body experiences. Then they kept pushing it, and they were having near-death experiences. So we've known that for a really long time, that is the gateway to leaving the body. It is this toroidal field, this incredible implosion that creates in the body in order to detach from the physical body and begin to enter these higher realms. And when that happens, when that vortex happens, you're basically creating, it's like a wormhole, a black hole. Well, it's a wormhole, right? That is being created through the body, through the movement of these vibrational frequencies in and out of the body. So we're just looking at the mechanics of the physical body, and we have the ability of moving in and out of the physical body at any time. So we need to learn this technology because it allows us to tap into higher forms of information, and it helps us heal the body and become aware of more things, So I define them as a natural part of our expression and imperative to having good death. A good death means that at the moment that you're leaving your body, the last day of your life, you're in a really high vibrational state so that that process moves smoothly and you have the ability of moving out of your body into the higher states and hopefully experiencing other aspects in those dimensions that are not low, that are not going to trap you into the ghost-like state, or in which you're stuck and attached to the physical realm. You don't really want to be a ghost because you're going to be attached to something physical, or a certain aspect of yourself will be. So that's what I think. It helps us train for death, which I think is very important.
All right, my friend, we have about 2.5 minutes left with you tonight. Flown right by, as it normally does. You are incredible, and I absolutely love that you come on this show each and every month to break down and share your knowledge with the Spaced Out Radio audience. And watching you grow over time, too, with your own knowledge has been incredible. Tell everybody what you're up to over the summer and let everybody know where they can find your information.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dave, for having me. It's always such a fun pleasure to be here. If you'd like to get a hypnotherapy or a DNA reprogramming with me, you can visit my website at geraldineorozco.com. And I will be speaking at the Higher Self Expo July 17th. So that's right around the corner, as well as the Wisdom Con in September. So please do check those out. You'll find the information on my website. If you're an experiencer, come on into our support group. It's really fun. We have an incredible amount of people that come in, and it's just really great. So check that out at hybridmother.com. And I'm excited to connect with all of you. All my love. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Thanks for being in the chat.
Well, you finished off a little early here. You gave me 9.
Oh, but that's amazing.
I was using your YouTube channel. You didn't promote your YouTube
channel.
Yeah.
I always forget that. Thanks for reminding me. Do check me out. If you guys want to learn about meditation and these techniques that I teach, you can check out YouTube at Geraldine Orozco. Okay.
Everything is Geraldine Orozco with this fine lady.
Yeah, just if you know my name, you know where to find me. So.
Yes, and she's got about 3 dozen websites, and. I just love to tease. I love to tease. That's why she comes back every month, because she's like, what crap is Dave going to throw at me this time around?
Oh, no, Dave, you're great. You're great. Thank you. Thank you.
You're too kind. You're too kind. By the way, before we go, did you extend the shoe collection at all so far since we last talked?
No shopping of any kind. No. Anti-consumerism.
You have a whole room dedicated to shoes.
No, I don't. That's what you think. I don't. I am completely trying to be as minimalist as possible, and even more so now. So, yeah, that's the direction we're going.
Very cool. Minimalist Geraldine Orozco at GeraldineOrozco.com, and we love her around here. She's like a sister to me, and
Yes.
I absolutely adore her. And if somebody treats her wrong, well, they're going to get the left hand of Dave right here. Left hand of Dave. Anyways,
Dave,
Geraldine, thank you so
Much
much for
love.
coming on Spaced Out
Have
Radio.
a great month.
Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire. We have the Thought of the Dave. Shirky Poo's got us all set up. Oh, it's going to be a good one. I think she actually found her glasses tonight. Find us some great stories. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio in the final half hour right after this. All right, we're clear.
All right, Davey. Thank you so
I'm
much.
just going to give you a few
see
claps
soon.
here.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Much love. Good luck with everything, and let me know. I'll email you about that project that we were just talking about at the beginning. Okay?
Yeah. I shall be waiting with bended knees.
Bended knees. Okay.
Bended knees. Much love,
You're
my
great.
friend.
I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Love her. Love her. Power chords. Who mentioned power chords earlier? Power chords are good. There. Yep. Behoff right there, man. We can get some serious power chords going. Serious power chords. Do 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 do. Power chords. They sound so good. Yeah, they do. Applesauce. What's going on? Joe's Maine. Why don't you hook up one of your guitars, and after the show we'll hook up with you and we can play. Just power chords. I only know a couple. Don't beat the hell out of me on your guitars. Grandmaster gets all the UFO babes. Why did you take all the strings off your guitars? I need to get a distortion pedal. Paul Holland probably has about 800 distortion pedals down in Australia. Paul Holland, you can come jam with us. But you have to play Aaliyah. J Fox Hunter, how you doing? Who else wants to join us for a guitar jam on YouTube one night? Stu Gerson. B. Hoff is going to join us. B. Hoff wants this guitar right here. Bat Mom, you can come play air guitar. Paul Holland, if you're half owner of a Valve amp company, why are you holding out on us, my friend? Good night, Ozzy Ange. Thank you for the super chat earlier. We're going to have Lunar Tina on bass for us. She's going to set the beat. Michael Haywood, nice to have you here. I met Donnie Iris a few years ago. Good night, Super Jenny. Oh. Grandmaster, I want a picture of your Les Paul. Love Les Pauls. Here we go, everyone. Legit, Hoff. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with the news as Shirky Poo's got us all hooked up. The news is always changing. That's why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the alien. Yes. Earlier this week, the House of Lords of the United Kingdom held a debate over the new U.S. UFO report released a couple weeks ago. During the debate, members of Parliament were able to question Annabel Goldie, also known as Baroness Goldie, who has been the Minister of Defense since 2019. Baroness Goldie told the Lords the MOD, or Ministry of Defense, has no plans to publish a similar type of UFO report as the United States. Here comes the transcript. Baron Sarfaz, I beg leave to ask the question of sending in my name on the order paper. Unknown speaker, I call Minister Baroness Goldie. Baroness Goldie replies, My lords, the Ministry of Defense now notes the content of the report. The department holds no reports and unidentified aerial phenomena, but constantly monitors UK airspace to identify and respond to any credible threat to its integrity and is confident in the existing measures in place to protect it. Unknown speaker. Lord Sarfaz, Baron Sarfaz. My lords, for decades, people who have been concerned with UFOs have been dismissed as fantasists. But now the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, who oversees 17 intelligence agencies, has published a report saying the data on UFOs is inconclusive. The report offers several possible explanations and does not rule out these could be military aircraft with varied advanced capabilities or even extraterrestrial phenomena. Either way, can my noble friend, the minister, reassure members of the public that the Ministry of Defense takes reports of unidentified flying objects in our airspace very seriously, and will she consider publishing a detailed assessment of the data we hold? Baroness Goldie. What I would say to my noble friend is that the MOD deals with actual threats substantiated by evidence, and the government continues to take any potential threat to the UK seriously. The Integrated Review and the Defence White Command paper published in March set out the MOD's assessment of the threats we face and now how we will meet them. In other words, what she is saying is she's not saying a gosh darn thing. She doesn't want to talk about it. She is literally shutting up, saying Britain isn't getting into the American game on UFOs. Don't ask, don't tell. We're not talking about it. And keep the fantasists at the fantasy leagues. That's what she's saying. Do you buy it? I'm sure she doesn't really want to bring Rendlesham into this now, does she? I don't think she does. Really don't. Big news out of Amazon. Founder Jeff Bezos stepped down as CEO, handing over the reins as the company navigates the challenges of a world fighting to emerge from the coronavirus pandemic. Andy Jassy, who ran Amazon's cloud computing business, replaced Bezos, a change the company announced in February. Bezos, Amazon's biggest shareholder with a stake worth about $180 billion, will still hold sway over the company he started out of his Seattle garage in 1995. He takes over the role of executive chair with plans to focus on new products and initiatives. Jassy takes the helm of a $1.7 trillion company that benefited greatly from the pandemic, more than tripling its profits in the first quarter of 2021 and posting record revenue as customers grew ever more dependent on online shopping. At the same time, Amazon faces activism from a restive workforce, just as rapid economic recovery causes a labor crunch that has retailers, manufacturers, and other companies competing for workers with higher wages and other benefits. The company defeated an attempt by workers to unionize at an Alabama warehouse earlier this year, but faces a more formidable challenge as the International Brotherhood of Teamsters launches a broader effort to unionize Amazon workers. In a blog post to employees earlier this year, Bezos said he planned to devote more time to side projects, including his space exploration company, Blue Origin, his philanthropic initiatives, and overseeing the Washington Post, which he owns. First up, the richest man in the world, by Forbes' estimate, will fulfill his childhood dream of traveling to space. Bezos, who is 57, will blast into space on July 20th when Blue Origin makes its first flight with a crew, bringing along his younger brother Mark, an investor, and a volunteer firefighter. Now, Bezos founded Amazon as an online bookstore and built it into a shopping and entertainment empire that is the second largest private employer in the United States behind Walmart. Amazon, which is buying the MGM movie studio in its latest major acquisition, now makes movies and sofas, owns a grocery chain, and has plans to send satellites into space to beam internet service to Earth. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? A French treasure hunter has sued the estate of a Santa Fe, New Mexico antiquities dealer who sparked a years-long search across the American West by hiding a chest filled with gold, coins, and other valuables. Bruno Raffos is seeking $10 million in a complaint filed last week in the U.S. District Court in New Mexico. He claims the late Forrest Fenn deprived him of the riches by moving the treasure chest after he solved a riddle that would lead him to the loot. The lawsuit comes a year after another man found the treasure in Wyoming, the Santa Fe New Mexican reported. It appeared suspicious to everyone, Raffos said in a lawsuit. Our assumption is that Forrest Fenn went to retrieve the chest himself, declared it found publicly, and kept the content for himself. In his autobiography, The Thrill of the Chase, Fenn said he buried the chest somewhere in the Rocky Mountains north of Santa Fe. His book included a poem that contained 9 clues of where the chest was hidden. For a decade, thousands of people roamed in the Rockies in search of the treasure, estimated to be worth at least $1 million. Several treasure seekers had to be rescued from precarious situations, and as many as 6 died. Raffos' lawsuit is just the latest legal claim to be spurred by the treasure hunt. A number of people have sued, alleging Fenn betrayed them or gave misleading clues. Shiloh Old, Fenn's grandson, could not be reached for comment. Raffo said he used clues to determine Fenn's treasure was in southwest Colorado. He informed Fenn he had solved the puzzle and was on his way to retrieve the chest. However, his plans were derailed by the coronavirus pandemic, and Fenn announced a short time later that the treasure had been found. Fenn died in September at the age of 90 without saying who found the chest or specifically where. Fenn's grandson confirmed in December that Jonathan Jack Stoof, a 32-year-old medical student from Michigan, discovered it. Fenn said before his death that the treasure was in Wyoming, but neither Stoof nor Fenn's relatives have specified where. Talk about a sour grapes lawsuit. A driver was ticketed in California on Friday for having what appeared to be a Starlink satellite dish bolted to the hood of his vehicle. In a Facebook post describing the bizarre incident, about 15 miles north of L.A., California Highway Patrol officer wrote that he told the Toyota Prius, of course it's a Toyota Prius driver. Of course. I'm going to assume that he was wearing boat shoes, white socks, rolled up jeans, skinny jeans at that, a flannel short sleeve shirt, and horn-rimmed glasses with Brill cream in his hair, playing Coldplay inside. I stopped you today for that visual obstruction on your hood. Does it not block your view while driving? To which the motorist replied, only when I make right turns. The CHP officer then told the hippie driver that for safety reasons, it's illegal to mount a satellite dish on the hood of a car before booking him for a moving violation. The motorist said he used the dish to get Wi-Fi service for a business operated out of the car. The incredulous officer signed off from his Facebook post saying, these are the real stories of the Highway Patrol. Safe travels, everyone. Starlink, of course, is a SpaceX initiative geared towards providing internet via satellites deployed in low Earth orbit. The company is already operating a beta service with customers paying $99 a month for the service, plus a one-time fee of $499 for the equipment that includes the satellite dish for home setup. Just knew it was going to be a Prius driver. Just knew. All right. Don't get your pantyhose in a knot for this one. Ukraine's Ministry of Defense has defended its decision to train female soldiers to march in high heels following an outcry from local lawmakers. Women from the Ukrainian armed forces, as Ukrainians are tough that way, will march in a parade to mark the 30th anniversary of independence from the Soviet Union on August 24th, according to the statement from Army Inform, the Defense Ministry's official news agency. They have been training twice a day to master the steps and are progressing well, Major Eugene Balabushka has said. Balabushka, nice name, good Ukrainian kid, confirmed the plan to wear high heels during the parade. Ivana Medved, a cadet at the Military Institute of the Taras Shevchenko National University of Kiev, has been training for more than a month. Today, for the first time, training takes place in high-heeled shoes. She says, it's a little harder than in boots, but we try. However, the decision to march in high heels angered a number of lawmakers after local media picked up the story. Elena Kondratyuk, oh, I love pronouncing these names, deputy chairman of the Ukrainian parliament, joined members of parliament from the Equal Opportunities cross-party group to call on Defense Minister Andrei Taran to reevaluate the decision to make female soldiers wear heels in marching. And Olga Stefanishina, Vice Prime Minister for Europe and Euro-Atlantic Integration of Ukraine, Marina Lazebnaya, Minister of Social Policy, Yulia Laputina, Minister of Veteran Affairs, and Yekaterina Levchenko, Government Envoy for Gender Policy, signed a joint statement criticizing the decision. Shoes with heels are incompatible with the combat capability of soldiers, and a Prussian step on a parade in such shoes is a deliberate harm to the health of the soldiers, reads the statement. There are 57,000 women serving in the Ukrainian armed forces, according to the Post. and the country is introducing NATO standards under which the principle of equality of rights and obligations of servicemen, regardless of gender, applies unconditionally. In response to the criticism, the Defense Ministry uploaded a series of pictures to Facebook of female soldiers from the other armies wearing high heels, but Stefanishina and the co-signatories of her statement pointed out that while the armies of some NATO countries issue high heels to women as part of their dress uniform, they are not worn while marching in parades. This is a battle. This is a war. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid that you are going to make combat-ready soldiers wear high heels. Stupid. Let them wear their boots. That's what they're used to. It's terrible. Terrible decision. All right, a couple more here. An 8-year-old boy is currently in stable condition after surviving a shark bite on the Florida beach on the 4th of July. The boy from Miami was reportedly visiting the Ponce Inlet beaches in Volusia County when he was bitten by a 2 to 3 foot shark, still good and big enough to kill you. That's why you don't do the ocean, people. There are great whites, bull sharks, tiger sharks, lemon sharks. Even the shark tank is there. Mr. Wonderful would bite you. The unidentified minor was treated in hospital, at the scene, and then at hospital. He's going to be okay. The boy was bitten in the right leg, got a couple of stitches. On average, 8 to 10 shark bites per year in the Volusia County beach. Yeah, usually always non-life-threatening. However, the University of Florida's International Shark Attack File designated Volusia County as the shark bite capital of the world following its 2020 data collection. Luckily, there have been no fatal shark attacks reported in Florida nor the rest of the country so far in 2021, but there is plenty of time for Jaws to get its revenge. We could probably all agree that a functional justice should be based on proportional punishment. Right? Right? Well, for the most part, things luckily work more or less as they should. Sometimes, though, the scales of justice tip in the wrong way. We got one for you here. Yeah. So anyways, let's talk about the case of Rolf Castell of Arkansas. Back in 1981, Castell, who is now 70 years old, robbed Senior Bob's Taco Hut in Port Smith. During the robbery, he waved a toy water gun at then 17-year-old cashier Dennis Shuttleman. Castell made off with about $264. He didn't get to enjoy the money for long, though. He was soon caught, tried, and convicted. Now, what would you consider an appropriate punishment for stealing a couple $100 with a toy gun? Or a water gun, for this matter? A couple months? Maybe a year? A fine? Community service? No. He got life in jail. In 1981, when he was 29 years old, Castell was sentenced to life in prison for aggravated robbery in addition to be fined $15,000. Now, make no mistake, Castell committed the crime. He's guilty of that. Had to be punished. But it's hard to comprehend a court and jury coming up with a life sentence. Castell really didn't steal a large amount of money. Additionally, no one was hurt, didn't violate any firearms laws. The robber himself doesn't understand the reasoning, but the cool part about it is he's been sitting behind bars for 40 years. He's getting out. His sentence was commuted. Governor Hutchinson commuted his sentence July 1st. The applicants intended for pardons had been completed all jail time, fulfilled all parole and probationary requirements, paid all fines to their sentences. He's not quite out of prison yet, though. Hutchinson's clemency grant has triggered a 30-day public feedback period on his case. On August 4th, our next clemency release date, if there are no negative developments, the proclamation of Castell's commutation will be issued. 40 years for waving a water gun. Well, You know what? Let's go to the thought of the Dave. I think that's a good time. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. Let's have some fun here. Your first words to an alien are, Nikki, you guys again? What are you doing this time? I want to remember all of it, not fragments. Science Bob, let's go for a ride, boys. I want to visit everybody, Vesta and larger in the solar system. John, can you help us with our physical healing needs? Alex, put a shirt on, you exhibitionist weirdos. Nicole Sackage, yoo-hoo, I see you. Dave, howdy. Hungry after your trip? Everett, hi. We've been trying to reach you about your vehicle's extended warranty. Sandra, hi Sandra, hi Sandra, hi Sandra. Can I drive? Ted, can we come in and share a message about our Savior, Jesus Christ? Dave, hello or welcome. Janine, how's the mileage in that thing? Kevin, who is your creator? Major Lee, why do you never abduct cats? Joretta, what took you so long? Danny, are you cool or is this going to get ugly? Paul, got room for our paranormal team? Kevin, where's the buffet? Jeannie, what's your name? Preston, take me to your leader. Michael, hello? Hello? Darren, hey, nice ship. Can I drive? Lori, hi there. How are you? Hot today, eh? Want to sit on my porch and have a beer or a wine cooler and chat? Jim, pizza? Becky, get the F out. Ha! George, who are you? Michelle, have you come to take me home? John, you're late. Brent, you got a real pretty mouth. I'll bet you could squeal like a pig. Barry, ooh. Melinda, run, get away from here. These people are crazy. Davey, you again? Sue, nothing, because I fainted. See what else we got. Barther, swim back to your own planet. Nobody gets hurt. Canadian Joe, do yourself a favor and stay off hashtag UFO Twitter. UAP Tech, I'd like to speak to you about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. D. Lindsay, if you're here for good, you're going to want to avoid certain people. Foop, we've been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty. Lloyd, take me to your leader. And that's pretty good. Thank you to everybody playing on the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the SOR Newswire, and to Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone listening in our chat rooms on YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and the Snarkers and Snarkettes hanging out on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
Make a mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.